Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi. My name is John Maddox, and I am Associate Professor of Spanish and African American Studies here at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, and I'm thrilled to see everyone here tonight. I am here to introduce tonight's speaker, Yolanda Arroyo Pizarro. I'd like to share a few words that come to mind when I think of her. Creativity and identity, unapologetic. Creativity, identity, unapologetic. Yolanda Arroyo Pizarro is an award-winning writer from Cataño, a town near San Juan, Puerto Rico. Her career brings to mind the great chronicler of the civil rights movement, James Baldwin. A journalist once asked Baldwin if being poor, black, and gay made him feel disadvantaged as a young writer. No, Baldwin replied, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. It was so outrageous, you had to find a way to use it. Arroyo Pizarro has used it over and over again. She wrote the words she never read and that she wanted to read. She gave the message she rarely heard but clearly needed from literature. The press knows her as the first woman to marry another woman in the history of Puerto Rico. She and poet activist Zulma Olivera Vega were wed in 2014. There were no laws allowing them to do this, so she helped create them. I know her as a writer. I study historical novels about African enslavement in Puerto Rico, and so I traveled there to present at the first Black Studies Conference in Puerto Rico. We chatted for a while. She signed my new copy of Saita, the poems, and we ended up going to dinner in a group. She was a very charming conversationalist, and we kept up with each other. So I brought a group of UAB students to get to know Puerto Rico later on, and I eventually wrote a book that included her alongside other important writers like Mayra Santos Febres, Yvonne Denis Rosario, and Dalma Llanos Figueroa. But she doesn't need me to sing her praises. When there was no Black Studies program at any university on the island, she created one from scratch, where writers well-known and up-and-coming have gathered to this day to read and write on the Black diaspora. Now the University of Puerto Rico has an Afro Descent and Raciality Studies program. Though queer literature on the island continues to occupy a marginal space, she has created the Afro-Queer Studies Project with the same ingenuity and relentless energy. Her accolades include the Puerto Rican Literature Institute, the Pen Club Puerto Rico Short Story Prize, the 2 Institute of Puerto Rican Culture Awards, and she was chosen Puerto Rican Author of the Year, as well as one of the most important Latin American writers according to Colombia's Bogotá 39. She started viral campaigns online to promote the appreciation of Black beauty, anti-racism, and blackening syllabi. The United Nations invited her to speak on Puerto Rico during the decade of African descent. She has written innovative books for adults with enslaved Black female characters like Las Negras and contemporary lesbian protagonists like Violeta. She has cultivated short story, novel, poetry, essay, and even a short play in Las Caras Lindas. Her work has been translated into 7 languages. She is a Spanish professor and writer in residence at the island's EDP University. In December, she was awarded the prestigious Mellon and Flamboyant Foundation Letras Boricuas Fellowship, and this year she won the Words Without Borders Residency Fellowship. Last week, she spoke at Yale University on her work. Tonight, thanks to the generous support of the Jemison Foundation, Juliana Rivas, and Lourdes Sanchez Lopez of the UAB Department of World Languages, and the Center for Teaching and Learning, she is here to tell us about Black creativity. I would also like to acknowledge Kay Morgan for helping to create a Black Studies program at UAB, DWLL Administrative Associate Denise Joseph, and my students. and you all. Yolanda also writes children's books because she wants young people to have role models. Today she writes for the Sesame Street Listos a Jugar storybook series as an independent writer. You're all no longer children, but you do represent the future. I hope Yolanda inspires you to build whatever you want to see built, even if you have to hit the jackpot. Yolanda?
Thank you. Buenas noches. Good evening. Yo me amo y me afroamo. Mi afroidentidad es sublime e importante. Mi afrointelecto viene de las divinidades, de la sabiduría de las tatarabuelas, de los juegos de aldea, de la afrosororidad en tribu. Mi reconocimiento de los ancestros y su recuerdo es primordial. Amo mi melanina, este color de piel maravilloso. Esta pigmentación de dermis extraordinaria, el hermoso color café con leche, el asombroso color caramelo, este portentoso color sepia. Somos altezas de piel canela. Somos reyes y reinas Ashanti, Yoruba y Carabalí. Don't worry, it's the only one that I'm going to read in Spanish. Don't you worry. Tonight, my objective is to have a conversation with you. So I will try to speak alone. And in this conversation, I want that you learn at least about how I get to be a black artist. Okay, so let's start again. Good evening. I will try to have a conversation with you about black creativity, how to be a black artist in Puerto Rico. This conversation I divided in 3, maybe 4 parts, because I think it's easier for me to get along that way. And in this conversation, I'm going to give you a few instructions that I hope that you can follow. They are joyful instructions, happy instructions. Don't worry. But it's also to try to homage. Homenajear is homage. To homage others people's work. And I've been trying to do this stuff in a lot of other places, and that is how it helped me, to recognize that work. So, at this moment, the instruction is that this is the part that you took some pictures for social media. So I'm going to show you this book, and I want you that you took a picture of me with this book. And if you can post this picture in your social media. Yes. The author is a great Afro-queer Puerto Rican writer, Carlos Vázquez. Carlos Vázquez Cruz. And this novela, how do you say novela in English?
Novel.
Novel? This novel is in Spanish, but it's a great novel. It's about an AI, inteligencia artificial like Alexa, I guess, or Siri, that wakes up. Go figure. That almost happened last week. I don't know if you are aware of the news around the world. And I say almost happened, but we never know if this in fact happened already. But in the novel, the AI start a group of emails and connect people that were connected through love in the past. So they are all access. So imagine that some kind of artificial intelligence go to your email. Yes! And look at your draft folder. Those emails that you never send. And the artificial intelligence starts sending them. So that's the plot, the great plot of this novel. So it's a great novel. So taking this photograph and sharing it through social media is going to promote a very talented artist in my island. The other one is this one. I need to clip my microphone because I'm going to read. ¿Se escucha? ¿Se oye?
Sí.
No, se oye. No tanto. Y ahora, mejor.
Ahora sí.
Better. Okay. This is a poet, an Afro-queer poet from Puerto Rico, Xavier Balcarce. And this book, I went to the presentation last week because these published works cumplió los 10 años. How do you say that? 10 years.
Turns 10 years old.
Turns 10 years old, this book. And I'm going to read a poem. But prior to that poem, I'm going to read an epigraph from another Afro-queer, very important poet from the island, Manuel Ramos Otero. Manuel Ramos Otero said at some point, "Who can deny that my voice exists as history exists in me by telling it? Who hasn't tried to organize chronologically the absurd facts of a dream and has ended up peeling off reality?" And the poem starts. It was in January, already at night, when we discovered behind the windows a pattern imprinted on everything. Thus, a suspicious emptiness in the common streets, a reduction of time to palindromic numbers in the clock, the fossil of the country in figures. I regret at that time regretting having decided to go to a compressed room without electricity, to recognize myself in spite of the interface. That night we knew from behind the windows, even the house, that the light of time came in disguise to ravage everything. We didn't hesitate. We still had the terror of adulthood in our saliva. In front of us, the mirrors. Above us, a lukewarm commitment in spilled ceiling. Firelight and Firewells is the name of this book from Xavier Balcarce, a great poet. Black creativity, en vivo y a todo color, ¿verdad? And this poetry book is from Yvonne Dennis Rosario. So please take also your shots and share this in your Instagrams and your TikToks and I don't know what else is there. Facebook. And Yvonne Dennis Rosario, her poetry says in the back of the book, her poetry is completely transparent. It doesn't hide feelings or sorrows and shares pure natural emotions. Her poetry radiates from the beginning of each word as life itself from love, death, and hope. And the poem, I'm going to do the same that I just did with Xavier. I took fragments of the poem, so you get curious and maybe by the works of this artist. The title is "There Is You Earth Upon Me," to my Haitian brothers. And the shadow comes each time closer, tempts me to stop, to forget the magic, the voodoo, the syncretism, that I curse the Creole. I will be free of pain, of agony, of sadness, of guilt, of impotence. There is a shadow part at my side. I look and think of it. It whispers like a child in the throat that heaps up pains and will not go. There is a shadow lodged in my body, and this is not my body, but that of death. I am the shadow full of death. I am dead. This is from Yvonne Dennis. And Yvonne Dennis is one of the authors that John Maddox created a chapter in his book. Did you know that John just published this book? It's amazing. Give him applause. Thank you. And he is so generous, tan gentil, hizo un chapter of me, Yolanda Arroyo Pizarro, and of Yvonne Dennis Rosario, and from Mayra Santos Febres, which is another great poet and writer from Puerto Rico, and of course the great Dalma Llanos Figueroa, the writer of Daughters of the Stone. So I just give you, I think, a good, una muestra, a good sample of Black creativity. Some of them are Afro-queer like me. Some of them they are not Afro-queer, but they're great writers, and they use their Black, beautiful voices to say something to the world. So, this is an artist talk, as explained by admired writer Ariana Brown, and this is a quote from her. I'm here to give an artist talk, which is basically a fancy way of saying I'm going to share some stories with you. That's what I'm going to do also. And she said, I'm going to show you some photos and some slides, and I'm also going to read some poems. So that's what we are doing today. I dedicate this talk to John Maddox and his students that have me yesterday. Is there students from yesterday here today? Thank you. Thank you for having me. And of course, my daughter, Aurora. So, in my words, what is an Afro storytelling? I love that quote from Salman Rushdie. We are storytelling animals, the only creature on earth that told itself stories to understand what kind of creature we are. That's what we do. And it's amazed me every time I read this part, this quote, is because it's so inspiring to know that whatever is happening in the world, we can put words, and these stories not only is telling my story, it's shaping my new story. It's not only what happens to me in the past, the last chapter, is shaping whatever is going to be my next chapter. Isn't that amazing? I think that's magical. So I have a poem to read for you because I arrived yesterday during what some of the believers think is a portal. And February 2 of 22 was supposed to be a portal. And since I'm an atheist, but also I love to celebrate some of these creencias. I'm not necessarily, against some of them. I'm just curious and asking questions about what we believe and what we celebrate. So I have this in English, so I'm going to read it in English. To love afrofeministamente, telling me that you are, that I am the most precious black woman of the multiverses. That you, that me, we are an Afrodiva. I am a protagonista. I am the Afro Marvel, Afro Maravilla. To be pregnant afrofeministamente, to sing my Afro nanas, to pray our Afrofeminista credo, creed, to sing you lullabies and offer you prayers, to be Macandal, an Afrofeminist goddess, to say no afrofeministamente to Christianity and Oricha's misogynies and their machismo, to love my ancestras afrofeministamente. To love afrofeministamente. So, sometimes we have to give the finger to some things in life. Don't be afraid to do it. A friend told me today that at some point in his life, he has to give the fingers to some figures and to some names, powerful people that has been doing wrongdoings. So you have to do that sometimes. And that part that I wrote, telling me that you are, that I am the most precious black woman of the multiverses, is what I'm trying to do with books like Pelo Bueno, Good Hair. This is the Puerto Rican published, and this is the Colombian version. Pelo Bueno. Pelo Bueno, because still, like some of you, I am a college professor, and still in my classes, and I shared this yesterday with the group, still in my classes, I receive young women that says, I never felt beautiful. I never felt like a real woman, like beauty is inside this black body. Because society told us that we are not that beautiful, or that we are not beautiful, period. And as John says in the presentation, I'm trying to change that narrative since young children. And that book, The Good Hair, de Pelo Bueno, en Puerto Rico se le dice pelo malo a casi todos nuestros pelos rizados. Ay, tienes el pelo liso, tienes el pelo malo. You have curly hair, you have bad hair, that is bad hair. And in this conversation, there is a grandma and su nieta, granddaughter, and they are talking, and she asked the Grammy, the abuela, why did they say in my school that we have pelo malo, bad hair? And that abuela has to explain to the nieta the truth, that tu pelo doesn't commit a crime, tu pelo doesn't have bad behavior, it doesn't do trickery things, it doesn't treason anybody, and they start this conversation since it cannot be bad. Let's start not saying that it's a bad hair. Let's start saying always that it's a pelo bueno, good hair. So, that is pelo bueno. So, as you can see, girls in Puerto Rico having this book, and they're feeling for the first time that they have good hair, and they are precious, and they are Afro Maravillas, and they are Afro Divas like me. This group of girls was in the first summer camp of Afro girls in Loíza, Puerto Rico. Loíza is a place like a Palenque in Colombia. It's a place of Afro-descendant heritage. And the cimarrones, the slave rebels, and the slave rebellions, most of the time started in Loíza. So Loíza is our Palenque. So that was so great. And I worked with them exercise. the name of the group is Afro-Caribeñitas, Afro-Caribbean little girls, Afro-Caribeñitas, as you can see. That's the summer camp. And it says here, we are Afro-Marbles, Afro-Maravillas. And we make this exercise with them that I ask them that put their hands in the hair. And let's try to imagine that we are showering our hair, no. Lavándonos el pelo. Washing our hair, thank you. And says beautiful things to your hair. And also, pídale perdón al cabello, porque a veces hemos sido malos. Ask her for forgiveness. Because sometimes, even we said, oh, this pelo malo. Never do that again. Never. Promise you that. And they do that. And it's a reconciliation. It's like a very own, very personal, very intensive and intimate Afro-reparation, maybe is the word, for us. So that's happened. That happened in the summer. As you can see, this is another crowd. This was in Vieques, which is a little island from our little island, Puerto Rico. The archipiélago. We have other islands alrededor de nosotros, así que Vieques is one of our archipiélago. And they're doing the same. And this part that I wrote and that I read to you, to be pregnant Afrofeministamente, give me the memory of when I was pregnant from Aurora. That is Aurora. That is my Aurora. So at this point, you have to take a picture with Aurora in the bag and place it in the social media so she can see in Austin that her mother is always talking about her and thinking of her, and that she's my Afro Maravilla también. So thank you. You already took the picture? Thank you. And use the hashtag Yolanda Arroyo Pizarro, loves Aurora, something like that. Be creative, be creative. So Aurora is one of my inspirations. There she is when she was little. She's now 24 years old. So that's the comparative. And look at the pelo bueno de Aurora. You see? I had to do that. Because when Aurora gave me nietas, that's what she wants. I need to have for those nietos, a better word. I need to feel that I do something, I did something. So that's also why I wrote. And also in this book, Afrofeministamente, I published the Afro Nanas or the Afro Lullabies because in Puerto Rico, not even once lullaby has the word negrita, negrito, my beautiful black baby. And I wanted those words that exist. And the best form for those words come to life is when you publish, when you write them and when you publish. And that's why the Afro Nanas is in there. I didn't remember, I have my El Día del Nacimiento de Aurora. Look at it. I say to the nurse, I don't know how to give the teta. I don't know how to give the milk to the baby. And the nurse say, oh, she knows better than you. I just place, this is the delivery room. Place the little girl here and she opens the mouth and grab it and okay, she knows better than me. Good. Perfect. And when I mean in that verse to pray our Afrofeminista credo, and this is another instruction that I want to give to you. I don't know if there is in your own religions you have something similar to the credo, creo en Dios Todopoderoso, or the creed, I believe in God Almighty. But I want you to do something for me with paper, pen, or maybe in your smartphone to write the verses, los versos. ¿Cómo podemos empezar? Haciendo un credo suyo. My own creed, my own personal intimate credo. ¿En qué usted cree? What do you believe in? Is in love? Is in your mother? Is in this university? Is in your companion? Is in your sisters, brothers? Write that first sentence. I believe, and you don't have to read it to me. It's going to be you and you. So do that tonight, because sometimes that's how a book starts, and we don't know if we are at some point in the future give birth to a contribution like that, maybe in a years, and you can say, oh my God, I remember I write that with Yolanda in that group, in that library in University of Alabama, maybe, I don't know. But do that. Because the credo del pelo afro, I believe in my afro hair almighty, I started like that, just with one sentence, just with one verse. And then it came alive in this book, and the rest, is Afro storytelling. This is Revista Étnica. Take note of that great, it's not only a magazine. Revista Étnica is a platform for Black creativity at its best. It has presence in Instagram, in Facebook. You can order it and have it in physical, in paper, but also you can buy it digitally with some platforms, issue.com or ebook. I don't know if it has in Kindle. But Revista Étnica is another cantidad de talento, a lot of talent, Black creativity in Puerto Rico. They do this photo shoot, and this model was the first, the name is Teresa Carolina. She also has presence in Instagram. Teresa Carolina was the first trans woman, Black trans woman, to be in a cover in any magazine in Puerto Rico at that point. Teresa Carolina, with Revista Étnica. This other verse came from my belief that even though I'm an atheist, I have respect of what my ancestors and my ancestors believe in terms of orishas. But as I said also in the poem, I don't like the machismo, the chauvinism that come to the believing of the orishas and the religion. And it's a critic that I have for them. I know that they don't like that critic. I don't care. I have to have the critic and, try to be in the conversation of have a better world, as it is. It doesn't matter if it's an ancestral, millennial faith. You have to know that this kind of actions has repercussions, and we need to have better and secure and safe spaces for our women and for our LGBT people. And sometimes, not sometimes, some religions, they are not doing that work. Some they're doing it, but a few others not. So that's my critique to religion in that term. As you know, I'm a proud Afro-lesbian. This was in Miami last Pride celebration. Those anthologies are from Puerto Rico. The first two was from a group, this one and this one, Colectivo Homoerótica and Los Otros Cuerpos, were anthologies were for this is the first anthology of LGBT team in Puerto Rico. So if you want to know more, this is a start. And then after this one, a group of writers, they feel like brave. Oh my God, we can do this. We can be out and be a writer in Puerto Rico. Nobody's annihilating us, So let's try, and they formed the Colectivo Literario Homoerótica, or an homoerotic collective. I was part of the collective, and also Xavier Barcasel was part of the collective, and Carlos Vasquez. So from there, we started our careers. And then we noticed, as always happens, that there was no anthologies from lesbians. That is another talk. But basically, and we know. Is the intersection, is because being a woman and being a lesbian is even less as being a gay man, publishing. So at some points, this group of lesbians, they feel powerful enough, and they made a group together and published these 3 anthologies. So that's what SLIDE means, that we are there. This is Angela Davis. I love that quote from Angela Davis. You have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. So every time you ask yourself, should I do this? Do I make a change? Is this is the grano de arenita, is this pebble is going to make a significant something at the future? The response is always yes, it's going to do something. So you have to do something. That is also that's the question, that there is also the answer. Yes is the answer. And if you have doubts, just make a group. Don't feel alone. The only time that you need to be alone is for writing, because writing is a very alone task. That's why you need the community to heal after you wrote whatever after you write whatever it is that you're writing. And of course, I met Angela Davis in 2013. That's my photograph for showing of you that she was me, beside me. In Africa, in Ghana, I consider her a mentor. And I also love this other quote: I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. And what is this? I don't know what is this. It was a mistake. That was my Twitter account, I think. Let me think. Oh yes, that's my Twitter. That's for you to know that I have a Twitter account at this point. Okay, what is the next steps? What should we do? Writing in community. So, the another instruction that I'm going to give you is to create a club. Do you have writing clubs here? Poetry writing groups? It's not an instruction. This is my invitation for you, for your soul, for your heart. Start doing it. As soon as you go out this door when this talk finished, start doing it. You're not going to regret it. This is the group. This is an anthology that was published after a group like that. An Afro healing group was started in Loíza. Círculo de mujeres, women's circle, y Loisa. Healing together is what it means, sanar juntas. Healing together. So we needed to create an Afro Writers Army, and we started it, and we wanted to write Afro, her story, the voice of females. Because in Puerto Rico, you don't have an idea how little we have been writing. Not only the women, the female or feminized persons in Puerto Rico, or feminine, right? So that is why. No, okay. So, we started an exercise that calls the Africa al Caribe, a segment inspired in imagining. We have to imagine a slave that is now free. That is now free. And I want you to imagine if you don't have ancestors that were a slave rebel or were in the in this terrible process, but maybe you have an ancestor that were immigrant, or an ancestor that had to accomplish something, and you know that. Start with that. Do that exercise using that. Using that part of the territory that is not Alabama. Alabama is the end, is the goal. But you know that they have to move from another state, another country. So I don't want you to start that now, but please write that idea. Promise yourself that you're going to maybe interview people in your family that know the facts of what happens. Because maybe your whole family is going to heal through that writing. Okay? So mark that as, of course, people of my colors, we can start in Africa, but not necessarily everyone is going to start in Africa. You can start in whichever part of the world to do that. And those are the examples of the writers that start writing. They're in Spanish, but as you can see, they use the imagination. Look at the Casimira example. I was born in Senegal, where the blood calls my name, my Yoruba name. My eyes speak, and they say that I am a negra, I am a black woman. And you know, it's like you can feel the power, you can feel the healing. So it's something that all of us can do. This is another example of the same exercise. In this exercise, and look at the poems are not long poems. They are, you know, a few verses. They start with Nací, I was born. So imagine that you are that ancestor. Close your eyes and imagine, this is me, where I get to, where I was born. And start writing Nací, I was born in. You can do that, I know that you can do that. So there's another exercise called Ancestrans, inspired in the story of the archives. We went to the archives, we looked at our own last names, and even though we didn't know that we were part of that family, but looking at my last name, which is the same, and it's in the archives, is a very powerful tool. So that's another exercise that I invite you to do. Do that. Do that too. If you think that maybe you don't have a story of your family, well, start with this then. Start with this, because at some point in your life, you are going to attract more people of that same last name. I assure you, you are going to encounter a surprise. So that's another exercise that we do. And those are the product, ¿verdad? El producto final. In this case, Maria Fuentes was in the archives. In the other relato, Benito Osorio, they use the last name Osorio. This is another exercise that we do to work with Black creativity in Puerto Rico, but as you know, we can turn that and we can use it as our own creativity. What is your first memory? And that one I want you to write that down now. Your first memory